Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm Aaron Lewis and today I want to introduce you guys to my new bearded dragon. She is only, I think they said 2 months old. Now the reason why I actually ended up with a bearded dragon, it'll all be on my members only section. I will be uploading a video going into great detail about what happened and the circumstances that actually led me to get one. So if you want to see that video, you can go check that out and I will be uploading it within the next couple of weeks. It will be quite long. It's only $3.99 a month, so it probably will be worth it if you want to know how we ended up with this little girl here. Now, just a bit of background. In Australia, you do need a permit to keep reptiles, so I just want you guys to know that I do have one of those. So I'm completely legally keeping this reptile here. She's in her little habitat here. Now, this is just a temporary habitat. It was a Zoo-Med kit, the Zoo-Med bearded dragon kit. I'll have a little photo up in the corner so you guys can look at it, but it's just a temporary enclosure. As she gets bigger, she will be going into a much bigger enclosure because obviously bearded dragons, they are native to Australia where I am from now, so they do like their space. They're really central to desert or bush areas here. I'm trying to recreate that, so when I do end up getting a bigger enclosure for her, I'll probably be making it a bioactive enclosure so she can have lots of live plants and just little nooks and crannies in there that will replicate her natural environment here in Australia. As you can see, she is actually quite comfortable being out and about with me. I only got her yesterday, so she has been just settling into the house. I'm trying to handle her no more than 20 minutes a day, just so she can get used to being around. Oh, she sees the plant there. Just so she can be used to being around me and me handling her. I've never owned a lizard in the past, so this is my first reptile, but I have done heaps of research, and the person that I actually bought it from, she had to fill out this whole big giant form just to align with the regulations that Australia has. So she really filled me into on the correct care of bearded dragons and stuff like that and what we needed. Luckily, I pretty much had everything all sorted out here at home before I went in there. But one of my light fixtures weren't strong enough, so we did purchase a 10 watt one, I believe it was, because we had a 5 watt one. So we got the 10 watt one. It was the UVB bulb back here, just so she can have that in her system, because lighting is very important when it comes to these little guys, because they actually need the UVB bulb to process the proteins and the calcium that they are receiving from their food. So it is very important that you do have a UVB bulb in there. Oh, where are you going? She likes licking everything that comes inside. She keeps licking my arm. I'm worried she's just going to jump off and hurt herself, but she doesn't really seem to be like that. Usually she'll just walk over my arm and go up around my back, but usually I'm not sitting next to a plant, so I'm worried that she's going to try and jump on that and probably fall down. So I'm just being a bit curious of that. But she is a leatherback bearded dragon. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this previously, but I'm not actually certain of her gender. To me personally, she does look like a female lizard. I don't know if that's actually a thing, whether a lizard can look like that or not, but I'm just hoping she's a female. I do prefer owning females over males just because I find that they connect better with humans. I find like my female cockatiels connected better with me than Chico did, my male cockatiels, so that's why I'm hoping it's a female. I know it's probably going to be a male, not that it really is that big a deal, but me personally, I prefer keeping female animals over males. I don't know if I mentioned her name, but her name is Xena. I wanted to go with a more unique name rather than just like your typical Chloe or Zoe, something like that. So I've gone Xena. My brother was really big into Xena, the warrior princess back in the day. So my mum made a suggestion that I name her Xena. It was a joke at first, but I actually really like the name for her. I'm going to stick with it. Hopefully it's a girl. I might get her DNA tested one day in the future. Just got to find out how to do it and how expensive it is, see if it's actually worth it or not. But now that you guys have been introduced to Xena here, what I might do is flip her around. I might put her back in her enclosure underneath her heat lamp and her UVB bulb, and I will walk you guys through her enclosure at the moment, and I might share a photo of the closure that I plan to get in a couple months when she's much bigger. So I'll quickly put her back now. So now she is all put back in her little enclosure here. Now, I know a lot of people might be saying right now the enclosure is way too small for her, but when I actually did my research and I even spoke to the pet carer at the shop before I bought her, and she said that they do prefer a smaller enclosure before a bigger enclosure, just because they are very small, and some reptiles can get quite stressed being in a big giant enclosure, having all that space, wondering if there might be a predator lurking in there. So she has this little 20 gallon here. It's just a Zoomed kit that I bought for her, but she will 100% be getting a bigger enclosure. There's no way she will be staying in this tank. I just want to clarify that now. She will be in a much bigger enclosure than this as she grows older. By the time she reaches probably 6 or 7 months of age, she'll be in her full-sized enclosure that we will be buying. We'll probably have to get it specially delivered because it probably will be quite big and it won't fit in any of our cars, even though we all have big SUVs and stuff like that. But yes, so this definitely won't be her permanent enclosure. It's purely just a temporary enclosure while she is still a baby. She's only small, so I didn't want to stress her out too bad. So I just got this little enclosure for her, but as she gets bigger, she'll definitely have a bigger enclosure. But let's just have a quick walk around. So I did a lot of research on the grounds. Now, a lot of people said they shouldn't have sand, they shouldn't have bark, they shouldn't have leaves in there while they're a baby, but I live in Australia. I've seen these animals, I've seen their babies and where they live. This is practically what they live on most times. They're out in the bush. An Australian bush is probably not like an American bush where it's all lush and green. It's dry. It's pretty much dead, which is why bushfires happen so readily here, because this is what sort of substrate they are on in the wild. A lot of people seem to think that they're on a hard substrate, but they're not. It's pretty much loose. It might not be sand, it mostly might be dirt, but this one here is a central bearded dragon, which comes from the central part of Australia, which is mostly desert out there, if you guys did not know, and it mostly is red desert. So this is pretty much exactly her habitat that it would be in the wild. I know a lot of people think that there is very bad to have them on loose substrate because it can impact them, but this is what they live on in the wild. A lot of people seem to forget that. A lot of people keep them on tiles and they'll keep them on fake carpet. That's not their natural habitat. That's not the natural flooring that they have in the wild. So I've tried to replicate that as much as possible. I do have fake plants in here for now, but as I said, I will be doing a complete bioactive setup when I get the big tank that she will be permanently staying in. And it will be all decked out with plants. I'll have a nice little spot for her to bask, and we'll have different types of wood in there. I'll probably have foliage from the Australian bush on the bottom of the tank, just because I want to make her home as natural as possible to her habitat that she would be in if she was in the wild. Which I haven't really seen a lot of that with the videos I'm watching. A lot of people are very afraid to put in loose substrate in their bearded dragon tank because for some reason apparently they don't think that that is what they live on in the wild. But I promise you guys, I've seen them in the wild. I live here in Australia. They 100% live on substrate just like this. It might not be sand, it might be dirt, but majority of the time it is pretty much substrate that is loose. And I've seen baby bearded dragons out there and they all live on loose substrate. So don't stress, we do have a UVB bulb up here just to help with her absorb her calciums and proteins, and we also have a heat bulb that is on a thermostat here. So if you can see the thermostat just back there, that runs to this system here. So when it reaches, I think I have it set to 35 degrees just because I don't want to cook her as a baby. So it's set to 35 degrees. When it reaches 35 degrees, what it'll do is it'll shut off power to the light, and then when it goes down in degrees, the power will come back onto the heat lamp. So it's always getting heat. And then on this side, I have a night heat lamp, which I unplug the heat lamp from this one and I plug in that one and I lower it to 30 degrees. Or was it 26? I forgot which one I lowered it to, but it was either 26 or 30 because at nighttime they do like a bit of a lower temp, just because obviously in their natural habitat it doesn't stay 40 to 35 degrees throughout the whole day. It does cool down throughout the nighttime, so I'm trying to replicate that too. So I do have the heat bulb on this side. I think it's not an infrared one because they're actually quite bad to have for bearded dragons. I forget which one it was, but I think it was like a metal reflective one from what I remember. I don't want to touch that because it is quite hot, or otherwise I'd show you guys. And here we just have oh, she's doing a poo at the moment. That's actually really good. Apparently it's very good when your baby bearded dragon poos, just because you know that she's being able to process everything in her body, she's absorbing everything she needs to do. So I'm very pleased to see that. I'll get in there and clean that up after this video. But this is a rock that is actually fake. It's from Universal Rocks, but when she's in her big habitat, I will be getting her all natural rocks. But it actually does look quite realistic. You wouldn't even know it as a fake rock just by looking at it. But we just have some fake leaves that she can climb on up the back here. I did get a hammock for her that I didn't actually realize the size of it, but it would take up like half the tank. So that will be going in her big enclosure when she gets it. But I did want to put it here just so she could sort of jump up there and lay on it if she wanted to get away from the heat. And I also have ordered a UVB bulb that goes along the whole length of the tank, just so no matter where she is in the tank, even though this is quite a bright bulb, and even where she is right now, it's hitting her at this end, it's hitting her, but it is very important that they do have UVB. So I have ordered a light fixture that goes the whole length of the aquarium of the tank, so she can absorb that wherever she is in the enclosure. And if we just move over here, we just have a bit of natural wood that I purchased from the pet store. She does like to lay upon that too. If she wants to get away from the heat area, she'll come lay on that. We have her water dish here, which I haven't really seen her drinking or eating from, but I know that if she was thirsty, she would come down for a drink. But I have been spraying her with this every so often, just so hopefully as she knocks the water off her or sticks her tongue out, some water would drop into her mouth, just so she doesn't get dehydrated, because that is quite common with baby bearded dragons. They can dehydrate very fast. And then here we actually have her hide, so she can go in there, curl up if she feels uncomfortable. I've actually wanted to hide that underneath the dirt here, so I can't actually see in it. So if she wants to go in there, she can have complete privacy. I haven't seen her go in there. I believe she has peeked her head in there. So it pretty much is just covered by the sand, because I didn't want to see it because it's not a very natural looking hide. So that's why it's completely covered with the dirt. But it does look quite nice in my opinion that it's all covered, and it actually will provide some insulation in there for her too. So it might be a bit cooler in there for her. So just in case the ambient temperature in the whole tank is maybe too warm for her, she can go down here and cool down if she wants to. And then here, this is actually a real rock. It's not a rock from Universal Rocks, but as you can see, there's pretty much no difference between those rocks. They both look as real as each other. Obviously just down here, we just have her fruit and veg. Well, there's actually no fruit in there. We have capsicum, carrot, and I think it's spaghetti squash. I forget the name, it was a weird name. Spaghetti squash or lemon squash. It was like the little round one where it has weird designs on it, but that's in there. I haven't actually seen her eat that, so before I feed her insects tomorrow, I might try and give her a little piece of fruit, because they do get most of their water from what they eat, and fruit does have, I keep saying fruit, veggies do have a lot of water inside their system. So if we just look down here, this is actually the crickets that I have bought for her. I do have a little cricket enclosure on the way here where it has water dishes and little pipes and stuff that lead down into it. So this is what she's getting. I feed her 8 or 9 every morning. She only gets fed once a day, as recommended by the person I bought it from, as recommended on all the research groups that I've looked at. And we just have her little hammock. Now, as you can see, it is quite big. This isn't even folded out, but it would have taken up half the enclosure. And it's probably, she would have actually fallen through it. I did order this online, so I didn't actually know the true size of it. And then this is just the calcium powder that I did get for her. Now, I dunk all her crickets in this in the morning. Now, this is just calcium powder without D3. And this is calcium powder with D3. Now, you don't give them this very often. It might be like a once a month thing that you give them to it. So you just really want to make sure that they're getting the calcium powder with every meal that they're getting, especially when they're this young and small. And then here, we just have my insect food, which I bought because I'm waiting on my enclosure. That's all these crickets will be going in. It should be here today or tomorrow actually, so that'll be really good when that comes. And then here I just have some dry food, just in case I might run out of crickets and I don't feel like going out, so you can get some of these. But that is all, and I really hope that you guys did enjoy this little introduction video. But if you guys have any queries or anything that you think I could do better with this current enclosure, feel free to comment them down below. I'm always open to criticism. It's all about making their lives better, because right now we're keeping them, they can't control how they live. So if you guys have any advice that you can give me, I am a new reptile owner. As I said, this is my first reptile that I've ever owned, but I do have all the permits to keep her. I've done a lot of extensive research on keeping her, because researching before you buy any sort of pet is crucial, but I might have made some mistakes that people that are more experienced owners might know, so feel free to comment them down below. Now, if you guys haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. It's completely free of charge. You don't have to pay anything to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and not only that, you guys get to see all these videos of these animals that I'm now getting. I have fish, I have birds, I have a goldfish pond out the backyard, I have dogs, I have cats, and now I have a little bearded dragon here, which I really want to bring you guys along with my adventure of being a first-time reptile owner. So if you do want to see that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But that is all for today. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good one. Bye!